help others follow Jesus. And I think the church in America has really neglected this fundamental charge. It's more like the Great Omission than the Great Commission. It's one of the main problems. And I think the reason is we want results. We want everything fast in America. And we want the immediate. And so I think we have over-focused on getting decisions to the neglect of making disciples. We've prioritized producing converts rather than fully formed disciples. And we've painted a wrong picture of what the Christian life is. We've painted the Christian life as it's just praying a prayer, just getting your get out of hell free card, getting your fire insurance, as if it's just this mechanical transaction that has little to do with everyday life. New Testament could have been a lot shorter if it were simply pray a prayer and wait till you die to go to heaven. When you read the Bible, it focuses much more, not on one-time decisions, but following Jesus for all of life. And it's been a problem for us, our little stream of things, Baptists in particular. We just focus, let's just get the numbers. Check the box. Mark them off, little notches on our belts. Let's focus on decisions. So much so that right now on paper in America, there are 13.2 million Southern Baptists. But the average attendance in America is 3.8 million. On membership rolls, 13 million. People actually showing up to church, 3.8. Where are the 9,418,632 people? People who've prayed a prayer, walked an aisle, signed a card, been baptized, but are not following Jesus. They made a decision. They're not disciples. Back in 2016, the SBC did a major study, 20-year study. I think it was called the Great Commission Task Force. And so they were wanting to see, how are we doing as a convention here? Again, lots and lots of them, 46,000 churches. But how are we doing actually with discipleship? And so they went and did the big study from the previous 20 years, and they found out over these last 20 years, Southern Baptist churches have baptized 7.1 million people. It's incredible. 7.1 million baptisms in Southern Baptist churches. That's just one little slice of the kingdom. But as they continue to dig a little deeper, it's actually quite discouraging. Over that very same period of time, that same 20 years where we had 7 million decisions, our weekly attendance in churches actually dropped 24,000 people. Just think about that for a moment. If we baptize 7 million, it should grow by around 7 million. We dropped 24,000 people in weekly attendance. Nashville, we have a problem. It's not just a problem in the SBC. We've focused more on one-time decisions rather than lifelong followers. Baptism is not the finish line. It's the starting line. And so we push because we want it fast and we want the decisions, decisionalism, and we will emotionally manipulate. I taught at 2 camps this past summer. One of the camps, they've got a big bell that anytime anyone makes a decision, you go and ring this massive bell. Especially if they have younger kids, elementary kids, and junior kids. What kid doesn't want to ring a bell? I want to ring a bell. I ring a bell and everybody comes and hugs me. Man, I'll ring that bell. And listen, on a Thursday night at a youth camp, you can get a kid to do anything you want. They are exhausted. They are emotional. And that's what we've done. We have emotionally manipulated people. We'll play that stanza 3 and 4 times. Please just make a decision. What we've done is we've offered a version of a mechanical transaction instead of the life Jesus calls to. What we've offered is cheap grace. The German martyr Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, cheap grace is the preaching of forgiveness without requiring repentance. It's baptism without church discipline. It's communion without confession. Cheap grace is grace without discipleship, grace without the cross, grace without Jesus Christ. Cheap grace is no grace at all. But that's what we do because we want just to get the decision. We try to make it as easy as possible. Every head bowed, every eye closed. God forbid someone might know that you're interested in following the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And we emotionally manipulate. You ever notice how Jesus invites, though? Flip over to the Gospel of Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke. How does Jesus invite people to follow him? Does he make sure no one else knows about it? Does he make it as easy as possible? Look at Luke 9:23. And Jesus said to all, if anyone would come after me, here's his invitation, let him deny himself and take up his cross. Remember, the cross is an instrument of execution. Be ready to die. And not only that, daily. Take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses, you want to come to Christ, lose your life. Whoever loses life for my sake will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits himself? For whoever is ashamed of me and of my words, of him will the Son of Man be ashamed. You better raise that head and open those eyes when he comes in the glory of the Father and of the holy angels. Flip over to Luke chapter 14. Does Jesus make it easy? No, he actually makes it hard. He says, wait, hold up, you better be sure. You better count the cost. Look at Luke 14:25. Now great crowds accompanied him, and he turned and said to them, if anyone comes to me, this is invitation, and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost? It's like, wait, you want to follow me? Slow down. Let's think about this. Which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he's laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, going out to encounter another king in war, will not sit down first and deliberate whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? And if not, while the other is yet a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So, therefore, any of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. Jesus didn't teach cheap grace. He demanded costly grace. He didn't want just little decisions. He didn't want little half-hearted, one-time emotionally driven decisions. He wants disciples who will count the cost and lay their whole life down and follow him their whole lives. He doesn't want people who merely believe the right things about him. He wants people to follow him. We bring them in, yes, and then we build them up. That's what the Great Commission is. The job is not done when someone makes that initial decision. The job is only begun.